Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Metal Tiger Gaming. I wanted to kind of touch base with everybody on some news that had come out recently. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Much would be appreciated. So I'm going to kind of hop right into it. I wanted to start out by doing a review for Assassin's Creed Valhalla so far. So I haven't done the main quest yet because I keep seeing all these posts about like these really cool weapons and armor and other things you can get. So I've been doing side quests, and I'm almost 70 hours in just strictly side quests. So I'm not entirely sure how much longer this game is going to be, like overall. But that is also okay. I think that there are some things they could definitely improve on. During my last video, I did your Viking crew, when you do raids, don't actually die. I think that could be something they could actually update. I think it might make it a little bit more challenging, a little bit more immersive that way. Just because you're not going to have, immortal people all the time whenever you're playing a game. I think that's kind of unrealistic. Another thing I think that they should probably change in that is sometimes the parkour is just bad. I mean, during a video, I took 20 minutes just trying to get up on a ladder that was sequenced right in front of me, and my guy kept just jumping off the side. So I don't really know what that was about. Um, sometimes the um, Sometimes the game also just glitches. Like one time I was running and I went to go slide and I just slid down for about 2 hours. Just wouldn't let me move, wouldn't let me do anything. So I had to restart to a previous save. Lost probably about an hour of gameplay that way. So I mean, they're definitely making progress. I mean, these released a patch that basically made it to where your heavy attacks, your light attacks, and other attacks like that are actually set up to parry and block and do what you're supposed to. So they're working on it. Speaking of long games, Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be coming out next week on the 10th. And they're saying that there's not going to be more delays. It's guaranteed. This stuff's going to be in the show notes. So kind of just look at those, which is kind of exciting. They're also talking 175 hours of gameplay, and he's not done yet. I mean, that was from a dev standpoint. So I don't know what we're going to expect with 175 hours. And he said that was a slow run. That's being stealthy, kind of know what the game wants you to do. So I'm sure it could probably be done faster if you weren't taking the time to go do side quests. Shout out to me for doing all the side quests before I actually went into the main game, so to speak. So 175 hours is kind of what we're looking at. CD Projekt Red made a promise that there's nothing that's going to delay us, despite having 3 delays already. But there hasn't been any news as of yet. There's been no recent news that was released. This is also in the show notes. It was also released probably 5 hours ago that they didn't have anything that they were worried about as far as it getting delayed again. So hopefully we can kind of see that going next week. 175 hours gameplay. They are also talking about doing a multiplayer format, which is kind of interesting. We don't really know a lot about it. They're kind of keeping it hush-hush. They really want to hype up their main player and single-player modes because that's kind of what Sony's there for. For those of you who are on Xbox, I'm sorry you guys don't have good exclusives, but for Sony, their biggest thing is one hit, like single player games. I mean, we've had Last of Us, Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hills, which we'll get into that in a minute because there's been some news on that. So I'll get to that in just a moment. But so they're really kind of hyping up Cyberpunk just regularly, and then there's supposed to be a big multiplayer format to it. I'm not entirely sure what that's going to look like because there hasn't really been any big news on it, but I'm going to be keeping an eye on that. So getting into Silent Hills Metal Gear. So for us who are big horror fans or just big fans of Hideo Kojima, they are actually thinking about dropping Silent Hills and Metal Gear Solid as a remake for the PlayStation 5, which is insane because the Metal Gear Solid has been an exclusive for the PlayStation for about a decade. And they have been teasing releasing it back onto the newer systems and stuff like that, but they haven't actually done it. So that's kind of something that sucks. But now they're really expecting it. There's a lot of debate on whether or not they're actually going to drop the information for that or not. But a lot of people are speculating the 11th of December, which is going to be the day after Cyberpunk. So my worry there is that kind of information is going to get kind of buried. But like I said, I'll try to keep on top of it for you guys, kind of make sure that you guys have that information. But they're kind of hoping that's going to be there. Also, for notable remakes, and I'm kind of hoping for eventually at some point, Sly Cooper and Jack and Daxter. Like, let's get that going. Naughty Dog, you guys know what you guys are doing. Let's just remake those games. Everyone's going to want to do it. Let's just get that done. Okay, everyone, let's get a petition going. Sly Cooper, Jack Daxter, let's go. But they're kind of also thinking that they're going to release the game if they are making it, actually making it for Sly Cooper. Sorry, not Sly Cooper. Silent Hills and Metal Gear. If they're actually going to be making those, they're not going to be released till Q4 of 2021, which you're looking into August, September to December range when they're possibly releasing that. They're also saying that, hey, like the pandemic's been affecting everybody, but that's kind of been an excuse for everybody making games. And that's fine. Like everyone understands that. But when we start getting to situations like CD Projekt Red, where, we have been delayed 4 or 5 times because of, the coronavirus and or CD Projekt Red not actually doing what they're supposed to take care of the employees, and trying to format it to every possible format known: PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox X Series. I mean, they're just trying to do it for everybody, which makes no sense. I mean, they could have just done what PlayStation does, and I'm sure Xbox is doing it too, where you just buy the PlayStation 4 and then they just give you an update code at some point to make it to the PlayStation 5. So we'll kind of see what kind of happens with that. So I'm kind of hoping that next week we're going to have a big lineup of really cool games and even more releases going forward. That's going to be awesome. Also, tomorrow, speaking of new games, tomorrow, Immortal Phoenix Rising actually comes out. So don't forget to pick that up. That's going to be a Ubisoft game. A lot of people are saying it's basically Assassin's Creed meets Zelda Breath of the Wild. It looks kind of like that. I mean, the whole thing about Immortal Phoenix Rising looks to be almost exactly identical to Assassin's Creed and or Breath of the Wild. So we're going to kind of see how that goes. I'm not surprised. It's supposed to be an Assassin's Creed type style because Ubisoft has been making that game for also close to a decade and a half. So we'll kind of hope for that tomorrow, and we'll bring more news as it comes along. Another thing I kind of wanted to touch base on today is kind of just reviews for the PlayStation 5 controller, the headset, and the PlayStation 5 overall. Because everyone who got one day one have been, kind of having to deal with the hate, so to speak, of people saying, well, you never should have got it because, you're going to have to be the guy who has to deal with the bugs and you have to deal with all this other stuff. And frankly, I haven't had any real major issues with it. It's only shut down on me twice, and that was the day of that I bought it because I was playing the living hell out of it. I probably beat Godfall within 20 to 30 hours, which, by the way, do not buy that game. That game is awful. Do not buy Godfall. But I have no issues about it. I mean, it's been running smoothly. It is quiet. There are some times when it gets a little loud. That's also because it's downloading a new game or it's an update or anything like that. But other than that, it's pretty quiet. Half the time, I don't even know what's on, except for the fact that I'm literally watching it upload it for me. Upload, download time's insanely quick. Another issue I had with the PlayStation 4 that I haven't seen with the PlayStation 5 is the user interface is amazing. IGN's made videos about it. A lot of people have made videos about it. If you guys want to see one, let me know. But the user interface is really, really easy. I mean, it's super easy to do. Even if you're doing streaming, and if you guys really want to do that, if you guys are really big into gaming, you guys want to do some streaming, 100%. I mean, do it. It's super easy. The controllers actually have mics in them now, so you don't have to drop a bunch of money in a headset, which I'll get to here in just a minute. But it's actually an awesome system so far. I haven't had any issues. The only thing that I can see being an issue, though, is the storage space. And Sony has released zero information as to whether or not they're going to actually have some type of interior SSD or hard drives for you to actually expand your storage, which is also unfortunate because you have less than 1,000. And if you actually look at it before I even started playing any games, I only have like 646 actually available to me, 646 gigs, simply because they need 200 and some odd gigs just to make sure that the whole game has its systems, its interfaces, and stuff like that. I haven't been able to move anything to an external storage yet. I'm trying to move over some PlayStation 5 games to my previous gen Seagate. They wouldn't let me do that. So I'm kind of waiting for them to kind of give us some more information as far as what that's going to look like for external hard drives. I'm not holding out any information yet. Because Sony also did shut down those guys who are making the plates for the sides of the PlayStation. Like, you could take those, going to be coming off in case you guys didn't know that, but the two white portions that are on the sides of the PlayStation can come off and you guys can do whatever you want. I've seen people do plastic dip and paint over them and stuff like that, but overall, they also had to shut down a company because they didn't actually want them to make a margin in their losses. So, and I can kind of cover that in a later video, but the headset, is amazing. The new Pulse 3D headset is awesome. Not a lot of games have made a lot of impact with that yet, which I'll kind of get into some context with the controller here too. But The headset is awesome. The 3D Pulse audio is amazing. One game that I definitely feel a very big difference in is Call of Duty, especially with Modern Warfare and or the new Black Ops. It has been absolutely insanely effective with that. I mean, when they say 3D, they really mean 3D. I mean, you can hear people running from your left ear to your right ear. If you stop, you can hear people run around. And I think Call of Duty has made a really, really good job of taking advantage of that 3D audio. I mean, especially going from the PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5 jump. They've done really awesome with that. Other games that I've been able to play, like Assassin's Creed or like Crash Bandicoot or some other games like that, they haven't really taken that much advantage of it. I mean, it's there, but it doesn't seem as crisp or as noticeable, I would say, as they were for the Call of Duty games. So I would definitely recommend for $100 to definitely buy that 3D audio. And again, I'm not sponsored by anybody yet, but I would 100% buy that 3D Pulse headset audio for the PlayStation 5. 100% worth it. I haven't had any complaints about it. I mean, it fits awesome. The only thing that I have to say that kind of sucks sometimes is it's a little tight because of the way that the band is. So on the regular headset, I did a video unboxing of this, but on the regular headset, there's also a black band that goes across. I think it's just rubber. And it kind of restricts a little bit if you got a big head like I do. So that also kind of hurts sometimes if you play it for long periods of time. You just kind of take it off for a little while and you put it back on. It has no issues outside of that. I mean, there's no real big issues with that. And the last thing I kind of want to touch base on today is a dual sense controller. Now that thing is amazing. I've had no concerns about it except for the fact that nobody's making advantage of this. Which is sad because that controller is honestly probably the best controller I've ever had to play with. I mean, Sony definitely went in the right direction with this. I mean, hands down, probably the best Sony controller they've ever made. And in the future, I hope they take this technology forward and somehow make it better. I don't know how they would, but this is amazing. And sadly, no games have made any effort to use this. I mean, there is so many things that could have done. And I think, honestly, the weirdest thing is that obviously this is going to make sense, but the best game that takes advantage of it right now is Astro's Playroom, which comes automatically installed in your PlayStation, which that game is awesome. I played it a couple times and I just cry because the memorabilia. I mean, if you guys have been a PlayStation fan, a PlayStation loyalist for as long as I have, I mean, you're going to see the games, you're going to see the growth, you're going to see the development, and it's awesome. And it just takes complete advantage of it. And I was really disappointed when I started playing some of the big AAA games like Assassin's Creed and some other games like that weren't actually taking advantage of this controller, which they could easily do. I feel like it'd be something that'd be easy to do. I mean, they had the technology when they're making the development, which is obvious because when you buy the PlayStation 4 version, I don't know if you guys had that issue, but for me, when I went to go buy the PlayStation 5 version of the Assassin's Creed Valhalla, they didn't have any actually in stock. So they had to give me the PlayStation 4, and then they updated it through a virtual code automatically to the PlayStation 5. The problem was that I was expecting more, and that was one of the biggest things with Godfall 2 so far. So 2 out of 2 games haven't taken any advantage of this, where they don't take advantage of any of the new controls for it. None of the new like immersive experiences are involved. Like when you're looking at like in Astro's Playroom, for example, like when it starts raining, you can feel the raindrops on your controller and hear it through your headset. And it's kind of disappointing to see that because it is very easy for them to do that, I think. And they've had that technology. Like they didn't have to wait like we did. They didn't have to wait through lines for us to have to try to get in there or try to buy it at certain amounts of times. They had that in the entire time they're developing these games. And it's really disappointing they didn't have it. And it's not set up. So I think outside of that, I think that, going in the future, we have a huge queue of games set up that we're going to be able to get into. Immortal Phoenix Rising again comes out tomorrow. Cyberpunk comes out next week, and I really hope that they did something with that. So, like I said, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and share. And until then, remember, gaming favors the bold, and I'll see you guys next time.